Garlock wrote that. I didn't know Frank Garlock wrote that. How many of you know Frank Garlock? Great man. Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew. You hear me okay? I'm hard to hear. Are you hear me? Matthew 25. Somebody said, why do you talk so loud? I answered, why don't you? Somebody ought to talk loud. If we're going to say something, it ought to be worth hearing. Matthew 25. Matthew 25. How's your week going? How many of you would say it's been kind of a rough week? I'm just showing you what to do. I didn't have a rough week. Matthew 25. They're all the same, just how you handle it. Matthew 25. People are people, you're you. And I'm just going to quit listening to the news, too, because that's making me crazy. Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Matthew 25. Verse 13. We'll start there. Verse 13. Aren't you glad Jesus cares for you? Aren't you glad He's sitting on the right hand of God the Father at this moment, pleading for you? If you had your choice and you're God, would you rather listen to John Sheets or Jesus? Say it's a toss-up. Jesus. Jesus is pleading. What a simple thought, great thought. Thank the Lord. Matthew 25, verse 13. When you're there, I would like to read. Not quite. No, I'm not going to read till the end. I'm going to read to verse 29. Might as well tell you. So you can cheat and read ahead. Because you don't follow me anyways. I know it. I can tell. Matthew 25, verse 13. Watch, therefore. You read ahead already? You're not doing very good. We only read 2 words and you can't even be patient. He says, verse 13, watch, therefore. But he doesn't mean just watch. He doesn't mean stop everything and watch. He says, watch, therefore. And the watch, therefore, means that He's coming back and you'll have to answer not whether or not you were watching, but what you were doing while you were watching. Say, that's all in the watch, therefore? Trust me, it is. He goes on to say, verse 13, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. How many of you could get ready to meet the Lord in one day? Raise your hand if you could do it. It's not a trick question. I just wonder. How many of you could get ready to meet the Lord in an hour? Oh. How many of your wives could get ready in an hour? Well, thank you. How many of you need a year? He said, you don't know. And that's not how it's going to happen. But he says, for you know neither the day. What if we knew the day? What if he said, May 22nd, I'm coming. We'd wait. I'd wait till the 21st. And then I'd say, that's right, He's coming. I better get ready. I'd be on my knees a lot, would you? I'd be thinking about who I hurt or who I owe money. What if you only had an hour? What if tomorrow morning he said 3 o'clock? No, that doesn't work, does it? What if he said at 2 o'clock? I'm coming at 3 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, you get a text. Hey, y'all, how you doing? Coming at 3 o'clock. And you look at your phone, and it says 2 o'clock. Jesus says, I'm coming at 3. Be ready. He's saying, watch, therefore. Always watch. Always be ready. That's the safest way, is it not? It's like those people that never clean their house. You know, when you're coming over, everybody gets mad because there's so much cleaning to do. Solution to that is keep it clean. You know, all of a sudden, we got to get rid of all this stuff. We got to clean. We got to do this. Why not just keep up? So our Lord says, it's in red if you have a red letter Bible. Verse 13 says, watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. And then he tells this story. He said, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. He delivered unto them his goods. And unto one, verse 15, unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1. Remember those numbers? 5, 2, 1. Right? To one he gave 5, to another he gave 2, and another 1. To every, finish that verse with me, verse 15. To every man according to his several ability, or what he is. Several ability, personal strength. We're not all the same. That's why we should never, let me talk in a preacher setting. Preachers should never try to copy another preacher because we're all different. I do not try to preach or act or pray or study or run this church like anybody else. I do it according to my several ability. That means that I'm not accountable if someone else, I think, does better. As long as I've been given, if I've been given one, and I use that to its full capacity, that's all that matters. Watch me now. Watch me. Talking to you. A lot of people spend time going, I'm here. Stay with me now. You with me? We spend too much time going, I'm here. Why ain't I here? And so then we end up not getting anything done. Because all we're doing is whining because we're here. We wonder why we're not here. Let me tell you why you're here and not here. Because that's the way God made you. People say to me, where are you pastor? Lakeville. What's a Lakeville? Doesn't matter. See, I'm not comparing myself to them. I'm comparing myself to what God gave me. I don't have to keep up with anybody. I just have to fulfill according to what God gave me. I have to fulfill, use to my capacity, he calls it, verse 15, several ability, and straightway it says, he took his journey. Verse 16, then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same. Traded there is the word for labor or toil. He traded with the same and made them 5 more, which is, according to my Catholic school education. 10. 5 plus 5. 10. Thank you, Larry. Verse 17. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained. You say, I wouldn't preach this message this way. Got news for you, honey. You're not preaching it. So don't start calling me a 2 if I'm only a 1. We're different. We're all different. But the guy that had 2 gained 2 more. Correct? Is my theology correct? That gives him 4. If this guy spends his time moaning about not being a 5, then he's not going to gain anything. That's what this guy did. Basically, the old guy with 1 was upset that that's all he had. Look what it says. Verse 18, but he that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. Didn't use it. Didn't do anything with it. Watch me now. You say, is 1, maybe your question ought to be, is 1 as good as 5? If that's what God gave you, yes. God isn't going to hold me to a 5 standard if he made me a 1. So why fret? When I study, when I preach, everything I do it to the best of my ability, and I don't say, I wish I could have done that better. I wish I was more of this. No, I take what God's given me. So this guy didn't do anything. He's up 5, he's up 2, he's the same. But in the long run, well, let's finish reading. You know the story though, right? Verse 18 it says, but he that received 1 went, digged in the earth, hid his Lord's money. After, verse 19, now watch this. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. Verse 21, his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Didn't call him better, just called him good and faithful. Didn't say best. The guy that had 10 out of this group, is he the best? No, because God made him a 5. He did with the 5 what he should. So God didn't say, well done, best. He said, good, you did good. You did what you should do. That's what we should strive. Why? I think whatever you do, you ought to do it to win. But if you don't win, I think you ought to just get over it and keep going. He says to him, well done. Verse 21, thou good and faithful servant, thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Verse 22, he also that received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. Look up. The guy that got 5 gained 5. Did the same thing as the guy that had 2 gained 2. Did the same thing the guy that had 5. The guy that had 2 didn't say, oh, Lord, I have a question. How come I only got 2? How come he got 3 more than me? Have to tell you, this goes on all the time. And you may see tonight how you do that. You may not sit around, but you can play, well, how come this? How come that? How come I'm sick? How come I don't have this? How come my husband this? How come my wife did that? God's in charge. And whatever he gives you, he says to you, look, you take this and you do with that. So this guy that had 2, it says exactly what it said about the guy that had 5. Verse 23, his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Verse 23, that's exactly what he said to the guy that had 5, right? He didn't say, well done, almost good. He didn't say, well done, second best. Aren't you glad we have a fair God? Look, I'm in Lakeville. Most people in the world don't know where Lakeville is. But I'm not going to stand before them at the judgment seat of Christ. I'm going to stand before Christ. It doesn't matter if there's a bunch of big shots. It doesn't matter if Creflo Dollar goes, where's Lakeville? I'm not answering to Creflo Dollar. Say, you supposed to say that on the air? Too late now. I'm not answering to any man. I'm answering to God. God knows what he gave me, and he knows what I can do. Nobody else knows that. Same for you. When the guy that had 5 said, I've done 5 more, God said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Correct? When the second guy came that had 2 and made 2 more, God said the same thing. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Nothing changed. Verse 23. He said, thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou in the joy of thy Lord. Same, exact same reward. Why? Because that guy was faithful with what God gave him. He didn't moan that this guy gained more because he got more to begin with. Who's got time for that? You've got to resolve. This gets easier as you get older. You've got to resolve to do what you're supposed to be doing and not always thinking about what you'd like to do. This guy was thinking about what he wished he could do or what he wished he had. But the other 2 guys said, this is what I got, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I got, this is what I'm going to do. They moan about it. Same reward, not the same service. How are you at math? Does 10 equal 4? No, don't look what you give me that look. Does 10 equal 4? No. Does 4 equal 10? Don't worry about it. Listen to me. I deal with people that have this issue all the time. They're a 4, they want to be a 10. Look, you better just realize who you are. If you're a 4 and you're not a 10, don't. Do what you can with what you have. Because if you just moan about not having what you think you're worth, nothing will happen. Verse 24. Then he, I love the way the wording is. Matthew's precise. Then he, which had received the 1 talent, came and said, Lord, look what he said. I knew thee. Thou art a hard man. You expect me to work. Reaping where thou hast not sown, gathering where thou hast not straw. He thought the guy was unreasonable. He said he's hard, tough. He said, I was aware of that. I knew that. His Lord answered and said unto him, verse 25, and I was afraid and went and hid thy talent. Hey, does God care when we're afraid? Not a trick question. Yes. God knows when we fear, and oftentimes, true fear in the Bible, he addresses it this way: fear not. This guy's a liar. So how do you know that? Watch. he says, verse 25, I was afraid and went hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord, verse 26, his Lord answered and said unto him, not fear not. He says to him, thou, you want me to help you with your King James? You, thou is you. He says, you wicked and slothful, lazy servant. He never said, oh, listen, I'm sorry you're afraid. Listen to me. Our problem, my wife is like this. I'll say, you need to speak to a crowd and speak. Oh, I'm afraid. She says, you're not afraid. God's not given us the spirit of fear. This guy said, they weren't well done, thou good and faithful servant, right? Well done, thou good and faithful servant, right? Same outcome. Enter. You've been faithful over. He said to him, if you read it, he said, God said to him, you've been faithful over a few things, right? Then when he got to this guy, what did he say? You've been faithful over a few things. See, God judges you according to what he's given you. God didn't judge this guy according to this guy. And he didn't judge this guy according to this guy. He judged him according to what he gave him. I made a commitment when I started preaching that I would always preach like it was my last message. Because it could be. And I don't want the Lord to say, if I preach a message, I'm kind of like, I'm tired. And why don't you all just be good? Let's pray and go eat ice cream. That's when the Lord will come back. And he'll say to me, you and I have an issue. So someone says, man, you're always ripping us apart. Always preach that. Because it might be the last sermon you hear. And I don't want the last sermon you hear to be, let's go eat ice cream. I mean, I get it. This guy did the best he could. He did what he could. He didn't just say, hey, if I keep my 5 and he doubles his, I still win by 1. That's not why God gave him 5. He gave him 5 to do the best he can and double it. So the guy double got 10. This guy didn't say, hey, it doesn't matter. If I double what I got and get a 4, if this guy does nothing, he still has me beat. That's not the way we're supposed to think. I'm supposed to do my best, no matter what anybody else is doing. He says, verse 25, I was afraid and went, hid thy talent in the earth, thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. And verse 26, his Lord answered and said, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou, in other words, that means I'm not coming down to do the work. I've put you in charge of the work. Look at me. God left us here to do what he wants us to do. It's not that he can't do it. It's that he's chosen not to and wants to use us. There are people that you and I are here to talk to. There are people that you and I are here to reach. Could God win a soul to Christ? Better than us. So why did he come do it? Because he's chosen not to do that. He's chosen to use us. He's given us what we need to do that. So he said to him, thou knewest, verse 26, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not and gather where I have not strawed. Thou, verse 27, thou oughtest therefore have to put my money to the exchangers. Give it to the bank. And then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent, verse 28, take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. Look at me, look at me, look at me. This guy had one, right? Right? Who needs it more? This guy or this guy? This guy. Is 4 10? So if you've got one, don't you think this guy would say, hey, he knew this guy could handle it. Because he took 5, made it 5, and so he didn't say give it to this guy. So see, already some of you going, yeah, I don't like it. We got that isn't any of your business. How many of you have ever, be honest. I'm going to be honest. Do you want me to be honest? I'm going to be honest. How many of you have ever tried to tell God what to do or told him you didn't like what he was doing? Better mind your own business. I'm listening. I'm listening to me. Verse 29. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, he shall have abundance, but from him that hath not shall be taken away that which he hath. Here's the scoop. Give me, I won't, I'm not trying to go long. Just bear with me. Jesus is coming back. I know that. I'm convinced Jesus is coming. He's coming back to take us to heaven and will answer for what we did while we're here. Ta-da! While we wait for him to come. Sometimes I think I'd rather just wait. We're not supposed to just wait. We're supposed to work. I'm not a good waiter. If you see me in a store, I'll go back and forth to find the quickest checkout. Say, all that walking, I don't care. Every time. That's why I know God loves me, and that's why I know God has a sense of humor. Because every time I pick a line, it is the slowest. And I stand there and I go, God, I know you love me. Because you're trying to make... I know that if you didn't love me, I'd be in the fastest line. But I know that you're doing this. While we're waiting, he wants us to work. And the warning in this story is that we're not supposed to be lazy. We're not supposed to be inactive. Christ is coming. If we believe that Jesus is coming, then we need to be busy. There's work that's supposed to be done before he returns. Here's what I am. When I wait, I put all my effort into waiting. Here's me. Amy will tell you this. She'll vouch for this, and she'll laugh, but she'll tell you the truth. If you say, hey, I'm coming over tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. Pastor, I'll be at your house at 9 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I start waiting. I do. I look out the window. Life stops. You got issues. Don't just, because I'm helping you, don't pick on me. Leave me alone. But I put all my effort into waiting. I look out the window an hour before you're supposed to be there. I want to see you coming up the road. An hour. You know what Amy does? Everything. She's whizzing past me. Vroom, 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 vroom. She'll go, shouldn't you do something else? And then she quotes that verse about the watch pot doesn't boil. Jesus said we're supposed to be busy when he comes. Busy. I'm not good at that. I'm good at being busy. But boy, if I really put my effort on something, it's waiting. You and I have to realize that what he gives us, we will account for how we use what he gives us. Look at verse 14. When he uses the term goods, that literally means what's in our hand. In other words, what's at hand, what we have. Not what we get, what we have. Some of us are very limited. Some of you are not very limited, but some of us are. We only have so much. But I know that all we have belongs to God, and I know that one day we'll answer for what we did with what God put in our hands. I meet people all the time. It's a venture, a journey. People that I bump into or that know me, and I'll get to talk with them, or they'll call me Reverend, or they'll ask me, hey, could I ask you a question? Because God's put that in my hands. And He expects me to use my goods. He didn't expect me to complain because He didn't give me more. He didn't expect me, hey, I erased it already. But would it be possible for this guy, number 5, to say, I wish you would have given me 2. I just wore it out. Lord, you gave me too much. It's easy to be deceived. But you and I reveal what we believe by what we do, not by what we say. This guy said the one with one. Got him? He's gone now. But the one with one. He said, I. He didn't say I was lazy. What did he say? I was afraid. Jesus didn't say, well, I'd help you with that. What did Jesus say? He said, you're wicked. If you and I don't do what we're supposed to do with what we have, you can make up all kinds of things. Jesus thinks it's wicked. I didn't say that, He did. Don't wonder. Don't try to figure out why one of them got 5 and another got 2 and another got 1. I'm learning in my Christian life that God is not obligated to treat us like He does someone else. Why they get that? Why they have good health? Why they have more money? That's none of your business. Can God take care of you? Does God know how many hairs are on your head? Then don't fuss with Him because you don't know that. Just do what you're supposed to do. There's always going to be someone above us. And there's always going to be someone below us. And we're supposed to just be, as He puts it, good and faithful. I can do that. People tell me all the time, you be good. I answer, I am. Doing the best I can. Not about being fake. I'm not doing evil and wicked. I'm not doing drugs. I'm serving God. I'm good and faithful. And I'm doing what He wants. And I go to church sometimes. We can gripe. We can make excuses. Or we can accept it and do the best we can. Every moment you and I spend worrying about what God is doing is a wasted moment. The question, follow me now, follow me. The question is not, what do I have? The question is, what will I do with what I have? Life, what God gives you, the goods. He calls them, verse 14, the goods. That's from God. And what we do with God's gift, listen to this. What we do with God's gift is our gift to God. See, God doesn't need me. But it says when that 5 guy and that 2 guy did what they could, God said, you well done, thou good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I'll make you ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Nothing's wasted when you serve God. Nothing's wasted. Find out what matters. Then get on it. Not everything matters. I saw my neighbor again, the guy that burned my grass, spraying the dandelion. I went over and talked to him, and he said to me, I can't believe you're talking to me. And I said, why? He said, because I killed your grass. I said, you listen to me. You've got a wife that's very sick. Almost every day I'm in the hospital or the nursing home or talking to someone about to lose their marriage, someone that's battling a disease. I said, the only thing I'm mad about is you didn't kill all my grass. He said, oh, then the neighbor came over. The White Sox guy was home. He came over. You guys talking about me? And Mr. Riddle said, no, I'm just telling him how Riddle ruined Ruley's grass. And I looked at Kurt. I said, Kurt, the White Sox guy, I said, Kurt, Riddle is more worried about it than Ruley is. And Riddle needs to get over it because Ruley's gotten over it. I got bigger things in my life. I said, my dead grass is about this big. It's easy for us. I mean, I understand, and I told him, Roger, I said, I understand. Please, thank you. Thanks for killing my dandelions. Thank you for thinking of it. But listen to me, not everything matters. And we have to go through life trying to figure out, time is short. Who knows how long we'll live and when the Lord will return. Someone said this. I couldn't find who. Maybe you know who, but don't worry about it. Just listen to what they said. They said a ship is safe when it's anchored in the harbor. But that's not what ships are for. Wow. The one guy, he's anchored in the harbor. But that's not what ships are for. God didn't make you to come and sit. He made you to serve. You got to listen to this. I don't want to die until I'm dead. Huh? I don't want to die till I'm dead. So I'm just going to I saw my uncle the other day, yesterday, Uncle Felix, 85, going to be 86, cutting hair, dragging his oxygen around. Customers coming in, he's taking care of his wife, the nurse is there. He cut a haircut, go sit down and do his breathing treatment. You know, where it smokes, he can't breathe. He's blowing smoke and breathing and trying to get ready for the next haircut. I thought, man, he's going to live till he dies. And I don't want to die till I'm dead. I want to live my life doing everything I can for the Lord. I can't make that decision for you. I can't change your mind. Only you can do that. I can make you feel bad about it. And you might say, I know. Be honest about it, though. Be honest. Be honest. Pray with me. Our Father, thank you that whether we're a 5-talent, a 2-talent, or a 1-talent person, we're all important. In fact, if that 1-talent guy would have went ahead and got another talent and had 2, you would have said, well done, thou good and faithful servant. He would have got the same reward. And he had the least excuse. The guy that had 5, he had a lot of work to do. The guy that had 2, he had work, but not as much as the 5. The one with one, he didn't have to do all that much. But he chose not to. God, help us to do what we can. Help us not to make any excuse. It doesn't matter what we think we are, how old we are, how we feel. It doesn't matter what's happened to us. It doesn't matter how we grew up. It doesn't matter what people think, what people say. It matters if we decide to do what's important and use our life like we ought to. Please, please, Lord, speak to us. Speak to people in this room right now. Speak and challenge us to be what we ought to be, to do the work that you put us here to do. I pray and ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. If you can help with tables.